You're watching Frozen Sora, where the stories get darker, the deeper you go. Today's story: my stepmother is a succubus and she used voodoo on my dad. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I mean it. I think something is wrong with her, something not human. For context, I live in rural Louisiana, about 4 to 5 minutes outside Baton Rouge. My dad's house sits on 2 acres backed up against swampy woods. He's a mechanic, works out of his own shop behind the house. I used to help him when I was younger, before he remarried. Her name's Clarice. She showed up about a year after Mom passed away. Dad met her at church, of all places. She was way younger than him, maybe early 30s, with this voice like syrup and a smile that looked rehearsed. At first, I thought she was just weird. She'd walk barefoot outside at night, even when the ground was muddy. Said she liked to feel the earth's breath. I caught her once, standing by the tree line, whispering something in French or Creole, I'm not sure which. Dad brushed it off. She's spiritual, he said. That's how folks around here are. But then she started changing him. He used to be a morning person, up at 6, coffee, radio on, work by 7. Now he sleeps half the day. Looks pale, tired. His eyes, they don't look right anymore. Like they're sunken, but also too bright, like he's lit from the inside. Clarice keeps these jars on the kitchen shelf, filled with dirt, feathers, and what looks like hair. Once, I swear I saw a dead bird in one. She said it was for protection. Last month, I stayed the night there to help Dad fix his truck. Around midnight, I heard whispering from their room. I thought maybe they were fighting, but then I heard this humming. Low, rhythmic, the kind of sound that vibrates in your chest. Curiosity got the better of me. I peeked through the crack in the door. Clarice was sitting on top of Dad, her eyes open but not blinking. Her hair hung forward, and her mouth was moving, whispering something fast, like a prayer. Her hands were pressed flat on his chest. Dad wasn't moving. I panicked, pushed the door open, and she snapped her head toward me so fast it made a sound. Her eyes looked black in the dark. She smiled, slow, and said, He's fine, Cher. Go back to bed. Dad gasped for air like he'd been underwater. The next morning, he acted like nothing happened. When I brought it up, he just said I must have been dreaming, but his shirt was still damp. A week later, I came by again. Clarice wasn't around, so I went into the shed to grab a wrench. There was a smell like rot and flowers. In the corner, under a tarp, was a small wooden figure that looked like my dad. Shirt torn, face scratched. There were nails driven through its chest and legs. I don't scare easy, but that messed with me. I left right then. For a few days, I couldn't shake it. I didn't want to believe it was what it looked like. But then Dad called, said he'd fallen in the shop and couldn't feel his legs. I drove over there, heart pounding. When I got to the house, it was dark, except for a single light in the kitchen. I could hear whispering again. I followed it in. Clarice was standing by the table, surrounded by candles. On the table was the wooden figure and a photo of my dad, half burned. She looked at me and smiled. He's being punished, she said softly. He forgot his promises. Before I could say anything, I heard movement from the hallway. Dad crawled out, dragging himself, eyes glassy, skin gray. He was mouthing something I couldn't hear. Clarice leaned over him, put her hand on his head, and whispered, Not yet. And then his body just relaxed, like she turned him off. I ran, got in my truck, and didn't look back. I called the sheriff the next morning. They went out there and said everything looked fine, house clean, truck gone, both of them missing. No signs of a struggle. When I went back to check for myself a week later, the whole place was empty. But on the kitchen table, there was one jar left. Inside was a photo of me, half burned, and a lock of my hair. You've been listening to Frozen Sora. If this story got under your skin, hit subscribe.